The other day, I was having a conversation with 4 other parents about school security. Now, of these 4 people, I would say probably one of them was very close to me politically. They were pretty much a moderate, but the other 3 were far left of the 2 of us. Now, I know a lot of people think I'm far left, but that's only in the gun community. In the real world, I'm kind of right-wing. A lot of people think of me as the right-winger. But like I was saying, these 3 people were way left of me, and one of them was pretty close to me. And we were talking about school security. And when we got around to the part about whether we preferred to arm teachers or have armed police officers in schools, I was surprised to find that I was the only one that was pro-arming teachers. The other 4 people all kind of reluctantly, to some extent, agreed that if we're going to have guns in schools, they wanted it to be police officers. They wanted it to be someone that they thought they could trust, which I found to be very funny because I know these 4 people, and pretty much all 4 of them, and at least 3 of them, have been very vocal about their opinion that police officers are just a bunch of jackbooted Nazi thugs that can't be trusted and that are trigger happy. So I'm like, why would you want people that you think of like that to be guarding your children? But, people don't make decisions on reason a lot of times, especially when it comes to their kids, so I was willing to overlook that. So I thought, I'm going to have to try to convince these people that I'm right and they're wrong. That's the whole point of a debate. They said their point, and their main point was, well, police officers are highly trained with guns, and teachers just could never be that trained with a gun, which I think is garbage. I think any responsible, mature adult, and I think most teachers are responsible, mature adults, can learn to handle a gun properly and to learn how to handle stressful situations properly. And in fact, a lot of teachers that I know are ex-military who have a lot of firearms experience, probably more firearms experience than most police officers. So that whole argument really didn't hold a lot of water with me, and I really was able to kind of dismantle that one pretty easily. And that was basically their only argument. So then we went on to my arguments for why I'm pro arming teachers, and I'm anti-police officers in schools. Now, that might surprise a lot of people, but I don't want police officers in schools. I don't want my kid dealing with cops all day. I don't want cops policing my children all day. And besides that, I just don't think it's as good to have an armed officer in your school as it is to have armed teachers. So I started making my points, and I'll let you see if you agree with my points or if you agree with having armed police officers in schools. Well, my first point was that, since I think teachers and police officers can be equally trained and equally responsible and equally efficient with a firearm, in fact, I think the teachers can be better sometimes, if not quite often, I just don't want cops there because, for one, if someone is determined to shoot up a school and you have 1 or 2 uniformed officers on campus, it's easy to plan how to take them out first, or how to avoid them. Like if at 1:15 every day, one's at lunch and the other is doing this in the cafeteria, well, then you can avoid them. Or if you know who they are and where they are, you can target them first. If it's teachers that are armed, an unadvertised number of teachers and their identities are not advertised, well, then anyone who wants to shoot that school has to deal with that unknown, and they can't plan for that. You can't take out the opposition preemptively if you don't know who they are or how many of them there are. So in that case, I think arming teachers who would want to be armed and want to be trained is much better because there will be as many, if not more of them, and no one knows who or where they are, so they can't take them out first. So I think that is a big plus for arming teachers. Right there, just tactically, a big plus for having armed teachers over having police officers. The other thing is, I think the teachers care more about the kids. I would trust more teachers to put themselves between a shooter and a child if they were armed or unarmed. I would trust more of them to do that than I would police officers. We all remember the last police officer who stood outside and called in the shooting as it was happening and failed to enter the building. I don't think they're emotionally as vested in the children's well-being as the teachers are. So I think that's a big plus. I think motivation. An armed teacher, for one, is already in the mix. They're already there. And I think they're more motivated to protect the children than a police officer who might not even be there when it happens. like I said before, they can be avoided. So that's another couple of good points for arming teachers against having police officers in the school. And there's one other real argument I used here, and this is my biggest argument, and this is why I don't want police officers in schools. School shootings are very rare. They don't happen often. You've got a 99.9 something chance of it never happening to you or to any teacher or any police officer that's in a school. So if that doesn't happen very often and the officers are there, well, they're not teachers, so what are they doing all day? Well, they end up finding something to do, and they usually become enforcers instead of protectors. They start doing the disciplinary job of the teachers, but they start doing it with a badge, and that's not good. Some kid will get in class and do something that we've all done in class, get in trouble, and instead of just being punished by the teacher or the principal, the teacher will call in the resource officer who will come in, the kid will resist or say something, they'll end up with a criminal charge of resisting arrest or insulting a police officer, using bad language to a police officer. I've seen that as a charge against one of the kids at my son's school. In fact, one of my son's friends got in trouble in class one day because a teacher basically was 100% wrong about something that happened, and told him, get your stuff, go to the office, you're suspended. And the kid was like, you're wrong, it wasn't me. And the whole class said it wasn't him. And they were right, it wasn't him. We knew who it was, but we found out who it was eventually. But the teacher called the resource officer. The resource officer came in, told the kid, get his stuff, get to the office. He was going out of school. And the kid says, the teacher's wrong, I didn't do this. And the police officer yanked him up out of the seat, took him to the squad car outside, and charged him with resisting arrest. So now he had to fight a criminal charge as a 15-year-old. This was ridiculous. And that's what they end up doing. Because if they can't be protectors all day, they end up being enforcers. And the teachers start relying on that. They start saying, well, I don't got to do the difficult part of my job of disciplining kids or making them do what they're supposed to do. I'll just call the cops. You shouldn't be calling the cops on kids in school. So that's why I don't think cops belong there. So when you look at all the pros and cons of it, I think arming teachers is far better than having police officers in school. And at the end of that argument, it ended up being 4 of us were for arming teachers and only 1 holdout was still for arming police officers in school. So I think that was a pretty productive conversation. But what do you think? Are you pro police officer in school or are you pro arming teachers? Which one do you think is better? Do you think we should do both? Or do you think we should just do one because you think one has too many negatives like I think about having police officers in school? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree with me or if you think I'm full of it.